Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
As Warren City Council is set to meet here tonight, fallout from the secret recording of Warren Mayor Jim Fouts escalates.
Did they get the wrong guy? Police make an arrest after that truck slams into the Christmas marketplace in Berlin. But a new development sets the investigation back to square one.
But first, brand new criminal charges in the Flint water crisis, including 2 people close to Governor Snyder.
The long-running investigation now moves into the high levels of Flint's water mismanagement.
Attorney General Bill Schuette today bringing up the possibility of decades in jail for those making the decision to use the Flint River as a drinking water source. Rod Maloney is live in Flint tonight. And Rod, 2 former Flint emergency managers are facing charges here. Pretty serious.
Yeah, this is very serious business, Karen, and it's one of those things that many in Flint have been waiting at least a year for, if not more. Most of the city's drinking water did end up poisoned. A lot of people drank it. There have been people who died, the Legionnaire's disease situation. And so they've been clamoring to get somebody held responsible, perhaps put in jail. And that's precisely what the Attorney General and his special investigative team say they are out to accomplish.
During the course of this investigation has been a fixation on finances and balance sheets. This fixation has cost lives. This fixation came at the expense of protecting the health and safety of Flint.
Former Flint emergency manager Gerald Ambrose, who left the job after 4 months in April of last year, pled not guilty to false pretenses, fraud essentially, and conspiracy. Both are 20-year felonies, along with lesser misconduct and office charges. Then former Flint Water Department Administrator Doherty Johnson pled not guilty to the same false pretenses and conspiracy charges, along with his boss, former Flint Department of Public Works Director Howard Croft. The Attorney General's team claims the group made the false claim that they needed money to do an emergency cleanup of this retention pond on Bray Road. But instead, they used the millions captured to continue Flint's participation in the Carignan Water Authority, using Flint River water as the main water source. Special investigator Todd Flood calls the case quite simple.
It's a bait and switch where the citizens of Flint got the shaft.
Flint Mayor Karen Weaver is happy to see charges and says this was all easily preventable.
How can you not put corrosion control in place, when you know that? And I was glad that he even talked about those companies, Land and Veolia, because they knew. Everybody knew, but nobody spoke up.
Now, not in court today, but charged was the more famous emergency manager, the one who ended up leaving Flint and coming to Detroit and dealing with the Detroit school system, and that was Darnell Early. Now, Darnell Early was not in the state today, and so he was not arraigned today. In fact, we're not sure that it'll happen tomorrow, but maybe the next few days, because he does have to come back to Flint for his arraignment. And he has said repeatedly that he had nothing to do with any of these problems and did not believe that he should be charged with anything. And so he now will be returning to the state at some point, likely to plead guilty, much like the others did today. Back to you.
Rod, I'm wondering, what's the reaction in the legal community to these charges?
Well, it's interesting. It's not like these charges weren't expected, but the question is, what were they charged with? It's a fraud, and can they really make that case? There are a lot of questions about that, and we'll take a look at that very carefully coming up on Local 4 News at 6 o'clock.
All right, we look forward to that. Thank you, Rod. Well, the political firestorm around secret recordings, which forensic voice experts say is Warren Mayor Jim Fouts slamming people with disabilities, is getting hotter and hotter tonight. Yeah,
in about 2 hours, advocates for the disabled will be at Warren City Council. The lieutenant governor is weighing in, and Fouts himself has taken to social media. Our Mara McDonald is the only reporter who has heard this tape in its unedited form, and she's live in Warren tonight. Mara?
Good evening to you, Steve. And the person who made this tape confirms for us that they recorded it in Mayor Fouts' office several years ago, and that the voice you hear on this tape is Mayor Jim Fouts, something that as late as this afternoon he continues to deny. Take a look.
And I don't want to be around him. I wish them well in a cage.
In the unedited 7-minute recording that I was allowed to listen to and take notes, a voice, which voice recognition experts say is Warren Mayor Jim Fouts, is going on a rant about how special needs people disgust him and how he doesn't want to attend an event at General Motors, which he calls a prelude to the Special Olympics.
Tonight is retard night.
The recording has sent shockwaves that have groups like the Michigan Democratic Party calling for his resignation, as well as advocacy groups for the cognitively impaired who are horrified. Mayor Fouts has declined interview requests, but has taken to social media, a new post going up today. In it, he still maintains this is a phony tape, despite multiple voice recognition experts saying it is him. And he also goes on to say he has helped special needs persons for years and will elaborate on that later. Today, there have been several offers, including one from a Warren City councilman, to pay to have Fouts repeat what's on the tape for a voice recognition expert, an offer that could exonerate him. So far, no word from the mayor whether he will take them up on the offer. In addition, he's meeting with civil rights advocates today who demanded an audience to discuss the tape. Back here live, we expect advocates for the disabled to show up here at tonight's Warren City Council. In addition, the Lieutenant Governor came to Macomb County today to address the comments that were made on this tape. We'll have more on that coming up tonight at 6. Steve, Karen, we're live in Warren tonight. Back to you.
Mara, are there any indications that there are more recordings like this maybe out there?
There are, Steve. I have 3 sources who say they have archives of recordings, whether it's recordings that have been made in person or recordings of telephone conversations. One of those archives of recordings, I have been told we will never be able to hear because they were part of a lawsuit settlement, which leaves the other 2. Whether we actually hear anything more from those other 2, well, that remains to be seen. Back to you.
Oh, a lot more to unfold here. All right, thank you, Mara.
A car has been retrieved from the Detroit River after driving into the water near Grosse Ile.
Yeah, that car went into the water at about 12:30 this afternoon. One person was rescued. We don't have information about their condition. The police investigation here is underway. Temperatures have climbed up just at least a little bit after this morning's brutal cold.
It was horrible this morning, but this afternoon the sun came out, the winds kind of calmed down, and it was much better out there, Ben.
Yeah, and the winds are going to continue to relax tonight, guys. Temperatures will be the big story going forward. Right now, we've still got 30 degrees in Pontiac and Grosse Ile, and the rest of the area not far behind. Comparing this to where we were yesterday, look at the difference. 15 to as much as 20 degrees warmer than what we were looking at 5 o'clock yesterday evening. So temperatures tonight sliding into the 20s. We'll be down to 22 here by midnight. We're going to the teens for lows, but those wind chills will remain in the teens through the evening, even though the wind speeds are going to go down. And if you thought 30 was warm, wait till you see the end of this 7-day forecast. We've got that in your Christmas holiday forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Developing right now, ISIS has claimed responsibility for that truck attack in Berlin, calling the attacker, quote, a soldier of the Islamic State. Meanwhile, German police continue the search for the driver of that truck that slammed into a Berlin Christmas market Monday night. Police did make an arrest soon after the incident, but now the investigation has taken a new turn. NBC News confirms that German police have released the initial suspect in the killing of 12 people last night at this Christmas market in central Berlin. Somebody drove a truck into this crowded marketplace at about 8 p.m. last night, plowing into dozens of people, killing 12, injuring dozens more, 16 of them critically. German police have released this 23-year-old Pakistani man. They say they don't have the evidence to put him in the cab of the truck that somebody used in the attack. They say the forensic evidence isn't there, and even though there were crowds of people, witnesses are unable to identify this man as having been in the truck at the time of the attack. So if he is not the attacker, then that person is still on the run, somewhere in Berlin or elsewhere in Germany, trying to flee the police. So the massive search continues. German police are going through recordings now from all of the video cameras that are in that very busy marketplace. Prosecutors in the sexual assault case against Mateen Cleaves have appealed the dismissal of charges against that former Michigan State basketball star.
Cleaves was originally accused of sexually assaulting a woman after a golfing event back in March. On December 5th, the judge dismissed all charges against Cleaves. Yesterday, prosecutors officially appealed the dismissal. Cleve's attorney says the appeal is unnecessary and a waste of taxpayers' money. No one hurt, but firefighters from a half-dozen departments converged on the Palace of Auburn Hills this morning.
Yeah, a fire broke out in the ventilation system of the main kitchen. Firefighters say fire suppression systems in the building failed to activate. That fire eventually burned itself out. The kitchen was the only area affected. The Dow came closer than ever to hitting 20,000. All major stock indices were trading at record levels today. At what point the Dow was 13 points away from hitting that record 20,000 mark in morning trading. Analysts say stocks are higher thanks to the recovery in bond yields and interest rates. Two cousins convicted of just a horrible crime make their last plea in court.
New tonight why they had very little to say as the judge handed down their sentence for kidnapping and raping a woman. Also ahead.
Wait until you see what's in store for Dearborn. Coming up at 5, $30 million plan that will reshape the city.
'Tis the season for family, friends, and fun. Don't let the thieves ruin your plans.
I'm just really diligent. I'm watching the home, making sure that I'm being safe.
You lock your doors and keep lights on, but you could be making one mistake outside that's inviting crooks to target your home. The local Board of Defenders help you protect yourself. Next.
New at 6.
Predicting a heart attack before it happens. Tonight in Good Health. It's an inexpensive test, and it really could save lives.
Unfortunately, while you might want to spread the holiday cheer, others are actually looking to steal it. Thieves know a lot of homes will be left perhaps alone, and there's a lot of new items in them, new televisions, tablets, and jewelry, and they could be looking to cash in on your gifts.
My lamps are on timers that come on as soon as it starts to get dark.
Mom April Quasarano is always thinking about the safety of her and her family.
I sleep with my cell phone next to my bed should there be an emergency, and I also sleep with my key fob to my car in the garage so that I could set off that alarm should there be an emergency as well.
She also keeps wasp spray next to her bed. Should someone try to break in, she could use it to protect herself.
You know, at the holiday time, crime tends to go up, so I'm just really diligent. I'm watching the home, making sure that I'm being safe, making sure that I'm, you know, pulling all the way into the garage and letting the garage door go down if I'm coming in after dark.
When you're not home, make it look like you are home.
Canton Police recommends setting timers for lights and your television and have them to go on at different times when you're away.
When someone hears the television on, they hear the voices, ultimately deterring that person thinking, is it someone talking, or is it the news, or is it the television that's on?
If you have a home security system, use it. Anyone with video cameras, double check they're angled so you can identify anyone coming up to your home. And now is a good time to change your codes for your alarm system or your garage door and limit who has those codes.
I would say every 6 months would be a good time to change your code.
And when you put out the trash, make sure everything is put into black trash bags, because if you don't...
You're advertising what you may have within the home when the individuals driving down the street see those packaging.
And if you're not home during the holidays, make sure someone knows.
If I'm going to be away, I absolutely notify my neighbors, good friends, and I have people park in the driveway or have them check the house every other day.
A lot of us are going to be getting packages delivered to our door this week. Canton Police warns porch pirates are still at work trying to take those packages. So if you won't be home for the delivery, have a neighbor watch out for it. Have it delivered to a UPS or a FedEx store instead, or perhaps even send it to your work if possible. Lots of opportunities.
All good ideas. In an effort to transform downtown Dearborn, Ford Land Development Corporation will invest in a major renovation of an historic building. This is a rendering of what the area will look like. The Wagner Building at the corner of Michigan Avenue and Monroe has been vacant for 10 years. Ford will invest $60 million for redevelopment in 2 blocks of prime property on the city's main streets, which include the Wagner Building. Ford Motor Company will occupy offices on the top 2 floors, and retail business will be down on the 1st floor. It's part of the city and state's goal to make Dearborn into a highly walkable and engaging destination.
People walking outside today will be walking quick.
Yeah.
A little easier today than it was yesterday.
Good point.
Yeah, by this afternoon, it's not bad, actually.
Yeah, the winds have died down. Everything's going up. We're looking towards the end of that forecast.
All right.
So
nice weekend.
Back in the 70s.
2.5. Well, close, Steve. Close. Just you wait 2.5 minutes and we'll give you the payoff here. Wind gusts outside right now have dipped into the 20-mile-per-hour range. We were seeing these wind gusts close to 40 earlier this afternoon, but that still puts the wind chill in the teens, despite that the temperatures are close to 30 in a lot of locations. Now, the satellite image did have us clearing out after those midday clouds. We've got a few high clouds that are sort of hanging around parts of the area, but there's other spots that are clear. So, by the way, in just the next few minutes, coming up here at 5:29, the space station is going to move overhead. It's only going to last for 6 minutes, so you don't have to be out in the cold long. Look at the west-northwest sky low, and then it's going to disappear into the southeast. Again, 6-minute duration. So you've got about 11 minutes to go outside and check it out. Here's what we're expecting for the rest of this work week. We'll see the clouds starting to increase going into tomorrow, but it's not going to lead to anything as far as precipitation goes. That's going to stay up north. UP and northern part of lower Michigan expecting accumulating snow. In fact, they could see as much as 5 inches in the UP, about 1, 2, maybe up to 3 here in northern lower. But beyond that, high pressure settles in towards the end of the week, and we will not only finish dry, but we're going to finish warmer than where we've been. So the worst of it has passed. 18 is what we're going down to for a low tonight. Sky's mostly clear. We won't really see those clouds start to stack up till we get to the daytime hours on Wednesday. So here's your 4-zone forecast as we look at high temperatures tomorrow. Look at this, above freezing in our metro zone, 34 in the city, 34 at the airport, downriver, also in the mid-30s tomorrow. South zone not far behind. In fact, we'll get a couple 35s down here towards the Ohio state line. West zone temperatures anywhere from the freezing mark up to about 33, maybe 34 here in Ann Arbor and Canton. And once you get north of 59, those numbers here, about 32, 33 is what we're expecting in the afternoon. And that's not even the best we have. Those go even higher on Thursday as we go to 38 in the afternoon. We'll stay right around that mark going into Christmas Eve, but then numbers jump. 40 on Christmas Day. That's rain, not snow. Monday, 52 degrees is what we're expecting in the afternoon. It is going to come with rain and a lot of wind, so it's not going to be the best day to be outside. But considering where we've been...
Yeah, I was close.
You were.
70.
Yeah, you're only like 18 degrees off.
18 degrees off.
Remind me not to take you to Vegas.
Good point. Thank you, Ben. Well, treating prostate cancer
with light. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. New research into treating the cancer without the severe side effects that are usually associated with prostate surgery.
But first, stories from across Michigan, including what this man did to children that he was paid to protect. That's next.
Local 4 is following stories making headlines all across Michigan this Tuesday, and those stories involve the population of our state, as well as Menominee in the UP.
And we begin in Alpena, where a former school bus aide was sentenced to spend the next 20 to 30 years in prison for sexually assaulting at least 10 students. Andrew Bartz helped special needs and preschool-aged children on and off school buses until he was charged with criminal sexual conduct. That for assaults that happened in 2014 and 2015 involving children ages 3 to 15. At his sentencing, Bartz apologized, saying there's no excuse for what he did.
In the UP, a nativity scene is back on display today after it was taken down, but it has some changes. Take a look. You can see Santa Claus, reindeer, and a pair of snowmen are now included in the scene that depicts the night Jesus was born. This is at Menominee's Marina Park, the same site where it was taken down last month after a group complained it violated city policy. The group now says they will not be taking any further legal action. Michigan's population on the rise. Always good to hear.
That is indeed. Some good new numbers out from the U.S. Census. It came out today. They show Michigan's population continued to grow, actually for a 5th straight year. The population grew by a rate of 0.1% between July 1st, 2015 to 2016. That means nearly 11,000 new residents were gained during that period. In total, Michigan has 9.9 million residents and continues to rank as the 10th largest state in the country. The FBI could use some help tonight to identify a carjacking crew. 3 men carjacked a man on December 7th on Mitchell Street near McNichols. The victim wasn't hurt. Moments later, police were in the area. They saw two of the suspects near a gas station. Police gave a brief chase, but the men got away. A reward of up to $2,000 is now offered for information leading to the arrest of those suspects.
New at 5:30.
Governor Rick Snyder on tougher standards for lead, pension reform for teachers and municipal workers, and accountability for our state schools.
Secret call. What President Obama did behind closed doors right before the election that's seldom been done since the Cold War.
Two men who were accused of raping a woman inside of her own car pled guilty to what happened, and today they were sentenced. How long they'll spend in prison for what happened in Lincoln Park.
Next Wheel. Live from downtown Detroit. Local 4 News at 5:30 starts now.
Heading to prison, two cousins who kidnapped and took turns raping a woman, sentenced for their crimes. It was a case that left Lincoln Park reeling back in March.
That woman was kidnapped from a Walgreens parking lot. Nick Monticelli reports the pair had very little to say before they were carted off to prison.
People of the state of Michigan versus Mr. Fernando Delon Anderson.
The sentencing today was a quiet, reserved resolution to a crime that shocked many in the Lincoln Park community. Cousins Fernando Anderson, who both have the same name, were accused of kidnapping and raping a woman earlier this year. Lincoln Park police believed in March a 23-year-old woman was abducted at gunpoint outside this Walgreens at Southfield and Fort. The victim says both men took turns raping her while they drove around the city. It was a crime that upset many.
It's scary. It's scary. You got to be street smart anymore.
Living in the area, it bothered me a lot. I mean, between my wife and my daughter sometimes is at my house, and, it's a concern for the whole area.
One of the cousins was caught because during the crime, they stopped at the Sunoco station for cigarettes and was caught on the security camera. During his interrogation, prosecutors say the 24-year-old Anderson admitted to the crime. Instead of going to trial, both of them took a plea deal. The 19-year-old pleading no contest, the 24-year-old pleading guilty, making a brief statement in court.
Right here has been a lesson learned, and I learned from my mistakes, and basically just start on a new life and then do better things in my life.
Their sentence is 2 to 10 years in prison, but they also have to have a lifetime GPS monitor, and they will have to register as sex offenders for the rest of their lives. And nobody outside of the courthouse wanted to talk, although someone did make a comment, an interesting comment, that 2 to 10 is a guideline. 2 years is the minimum, and they don't think either of them have a chance of getting out in 2 years. At the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Now, because these are not life sentences, neither of the cousins gets an automatic appeal. They can, however, file for an appeal within 42 days.
Dearborn police are investigating tonight after someone broke into a gas station, then took off. It happened early this morning at the mobile gas station on Michigan Avenue and House Street. It's not clear how the suspect made his way in. Police are now reviewing surveillance video.
So the cold will stick around, but the bitterness, it sounds like, is done. And we're just going to keep marching upward for a few days, huh?
Stair-stepping it up, little at a time. But you know what? At least the winds died down.
Yeah.
So if Rudolph and Frosty ended up in your neighbor's backyard, you've got some milder temperatures to go fetch them tonight. We've got temperatures which are in the upper 20s right now, close to 30 degrees. Down here in the lower end of Monroe County, 29. Same goes in Monroe. Metro Airport's at 29. It's a very popular number on the east side. Some of the cooler locations are not that far behind. 28 in Novi. Brighton, you're at 28 degrees. 27 up there in Linden. And even up here in our north zone where we usually find our coldest temperatures, 27 is about as chilly as we can find right now, and that's up in Marlette. Now, the wind's still biting into that a little bit. We're going to keep wind chills in the teens right through the end of the evening hours tonight. Temperatures will fall to 24. We'll stay mostly clear through the night tonight. See those clouds stack up tomorrow, but as Steve and I were mentioning, temperatures keep inching up. We'll see how high they can possibly go by the start of next week, coming up in a few minutes, guys.
Governor Rick Snyder sitting down with Local 4 for his traditional year-ender interview.
Yeah, it just worked out as kind of a coincidence the same day as two of his former emergency managers are criminally charged in the Flint water crisis. Guy Gordon asked the governor about that and his goals for the coming year. Guy?
Steve and Karen, he did want to talk about those charges against the former emergency manager, Darnell Earley. Says it's too early for that, wants to let the process work itself out. In the meantime, he does believe that in the year ahead, that the replacement of those troubling lead service lines to so many Flint homes, perhaps as many as 29,000, will ramp up. He wants to see that happen. But at the same time, and just as importantly, he says, we need to attack and revamp our lead and copper standards here in the state of Michigan.
Michigan have a more stringent lead and copper rule than the federal government has. The current rule we have at the federal government was part of this problem. It's very ambiguous, it's very confusing. We need clarity, we need stricter standards, and we need to address this lead pipe replacement issue.
The governor says health care and pension reforms for municipal workers needs addressing because too many communities are swamped by high costs. But he wants a broader, more inclusive approach to solutions.
Both chambers, both parties, labor representation to really talk about how we talk about these municipal issues, and can we do some reforms that would improve things while understanding we're talking about people's retirement and or their health care.
He hopes the legislature will reconsider a Detroit Education Commission to give smarter regulation to where future new charter schools can open. But he wants to go a step further than that.
I think we should be looking at higher standards for all schools. So is there some accountability standard we should be having, not just for charter schools, but for all schools, because I think it should be the same standard. Shouldn't kids deserve a better answer whether they're in a charter school or public school, and we should have the same bar out there in terms of performance metrics for all of them.
So a pretty ambitious agenda ahead. I asked him about how many homes should get those new lead service lines replaced. He wouldn't get pinned down on numbers, but he said in order to restore confidence, those new standards would hopefully do that for Flint residents. We talked about how he wants to define or maybe redefine his legacy over the next 2 years, also about Michigan's competitive future and much more. You can find the full interview, his year-end interview, at clickondetroit.com. We're live. I'm Guy Gordon, Local 4. Stephen Kieran, back to you.
Guy, I don't know how much politics the governor was eager to talk about with you when you guys sat down and spoke, but he didn't campaign for Donald Trump. Did he say, has he talked with the president-elect since the election?
I asked him about that, and no, he has not talked with Donald Trump. He does, however, have a very solid working relationship with Indiana Governor Mike Pence, now the vice president-elect. He says he hopes to build on that. In fact, he knows that Donald Trump has big plans for the nation's infrastructure. We just completed a big infrastructure study, very comprehensive in this state. He wants to offer that up as a template for the nation, and also to make sure that Michigan has a big part in those infrastructure dollars that could be coming our way.
Yeah, he could certainly lobby on our state's behalf. Absolutely. All right, thank you, Guy. The investigation continues tonight in Turkey after the assassination of a Russian ambassador.
The shooting happened as Russian Ambassador Andrei Arlov was in Turkey for the opening of a photo exhibit. The gunman said he killed the ambassador to avenge the people of Aleppo. Police are now investigating whether the shooter acted alone.
New details emerging about the president's response to Russia's reported attempts to hack our election.
Anonymous senior intelligence officials say back on October 31st, just days before Election Day, President Obama made a rare, classified move by using the so-called red phone. It was to let Vladimir Putin know hacks would not be tolerated. The red phone is a system linking Washington and Moscow by satellite. It's not known how President Obama's message was phrased, but intelligence officials say using the red phone shows how serious the situation was.
Wimbledon champion Petra Kvitova was injured today while fighting off a burglar in her home in the Czech Republic. That burglar was armed with a knife. Kvitova shared details in a tweet saying, "In my attempt to defend myself, I was badly injured on my left hand, but fortunate to be alive. The injury is severe, but if you know anything about me, it is I am strong and I will fight this." Kvitova suffered severe cuts to 4 fingers on her left hand. She is undergoing surgery. Meanwhile, the search is on for her attacker.
In Good Health tonight, treating prostate cancer with light, eliminating the cancer with none of the severe side effects usually associated with prostate surgery.
Yeah, Dr. McGeorge is here to explain how it works and how it could change the whole approach to prostate cancer.
That's exactly right, Karen and Steve. You know, here's the issue. We have tests that can screen for prostate cancer, but there's a lot of debate about when and how to use them, because if we find something abnormal, a common treatment is often invasive surgery. So this barely invasive experimental option could tip the scales toward doing earlier diagnosis and ultimately intervention.
This new treatment uses a drug that comes from bacteria originally found at the bottom of the sea. The bacteria use a chemical to generate energy from the tiny amount of light that reaches them. When the drug derived from that chemical is exposed to certain wavelengths of light, like laser light, it produces a very local burst of energy that can destroy cells or blood vessels that are supporting the cancer. The latest study of 413 men used 10 fiber optic lasers inserted into the cancerous prostate gland. When the laser was switched on, it activated the drug to kill the cancer and left healthy prostate behind. In nearly half of the patients, there was no remaining trace of cancer, and during follow-up, only 6% of patients needed to have the prostate removed, compared with 30% of patients that did not have the new therapy. Now, there was a period of 3 months where sexual activity and urination was affected, but there were no significant side effects after 2 years.
Nothing. Now, while there's still a lot of further research to be done, this type of treatment has a lot of promise, and there are a number of these light-activated targeted drugs being developed against different types of cancers. And this is really kind of one of the new forefronts, finding new chemicals and applying them in interesting ways.
Well, if it's less invasive, you know, that makes it all the better.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. NASCAR has just revealed its brand new logo, but there seems to be a bit of a problem.
New here at 5:30, why you may have a tough time knowing what it really is when you see it.
Also ahead, a Christmas tree put up for Donald Trump at his rally lands a city official in some trouble, and it has nothing to do with politics.
An art program in Detroit is making a huge comeback. We'll tell you the local group raising money to bring art back for middle school students.
Visit Park.
New at 6.
Roll away Rams. Tonight, the feds are investigating complaints about the popular trucks just taking off. What you need to know before it happens to you.
Also tonight, can an aspirin a day keep cancer away? Researchers seem to think might be so, but it's not for everyone. Dr. McGeorge will explain for us in good health. Spain Elementary has served as a spotlight for the decay of Detroit schools and the greed of school administrators.
Well, since then, they've also seen so many generous donations, and that included today. Our Priya Man was there as a special gift aims to bring art back into the classroom.
It's been more than a decade since middle school students at Spain Elementary have been able to draw and paint in a formal art program. Well, that's all about to change. These teens walked into a classroom they haven't seen since 5th grade.
I love art. I draw. I got a lot of arts on a lot of drawings on my wall.
Lanaya Butler instinctively started drawing a design she loved to do as a kid.
I always used to draw it because I didn't know how to draw anything else, so I just drew this.
This $80,000 donation to Spain Elementary and Middle School means Butler will be able to nurture her creative talents.
So she's bringing back these same, feelings and things that she just lost because she wasn't able to do it at school. And so, yeah, I don't know, that's getting me all the emotions profound. Flowing, yeah.
The money was raised by the Michigan Glass Project. Every summer, their annual festival raises money for local nonprofits. They donated all of it to Art Road, which provides funding for schools that had to cut art programs.
What we're doing is uncapping and unleashing that potential. So some of these students you see today are going to be our future artists, automotive designers, interior designers, and thinkers of our world.
At 6 years old, Davion Byes loves to draw. So did his older brother, who was forced to stop taking art classes when funding dried up. That will change with this donation.
I think my brother gonna come here, and I think I can come here and see him do what he gonna do.
The donations will pay for everything from an art teacher to curriculum development to those costly art supplies. The next fundraising initiative for the Michigan Glass Project is in the summer. We've got information on clickondetroit.com. Reporting from Detroit, I'm Priya Man, Local 4.
I love that because art gives lots of kids confidence.
Absolutely.
Some of those who are a little quieter, and it
got to
gives
bring
them
it
the
back to all the
ability
schools. Yep.
Thanks, Priya. Well, after reaching a new sponsorship deal with Monster Energy drinks earlier this month, NASCAR is revealing the new logo for its premier racing series.
Yeah, in addition to the new logo, the name Monster Energy NAS Cup Series will replace the Sprint Cup Series. As you can see, the logo is a whole lot of Monster, and much more so than NASCAR. Racing officials say the new brand identity modernizes the Stock Car Racing League to fit with a new era of fans.